So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual career chat. I believe, Angela, it will be our 41st. Is that right?
Yes.
Which is quite incredible that we have now done 41 of these virtual career chats. So thanks all to those that take part. So today we're going to be focusing on the role of a quantity surveyor. And I'm more excited to have two of our veterans that I have worked with personally, supported them into the roles they are doing today, and so delighted to have them back with us to share their journeys. So thank you for that, Francis and Gabrielle. So I'm not going to talk anymore. It's not about me. I just say sit back, enjoy, and over to you, Angela.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to our virtual career chat. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all back. Now, Caroline and I are fresh off the back of the most wonderful day yesterday in London, receiving our Gold Award from the Armed Forces Covenant Employer Recognition Scheme. Now, the reason that we set up Build Force, the reason that we do it so passionately, and the reason that we are so relentless is for you, our service leavers and veterans, those who have served our country with such bravery and pride, great consequence and sacrifice. So we thank you for all that you have done, and we accepted our Gold Award yesterday on behalf of you and the wider Build Force family. And it was particularly poignant this week of Remembrance Sunday, where we remember the service and sacrifice of all those that have defended our freedoms and protected our way of life. So the Build Force team send a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you. Now, I hope you are all safe and well and looking after yourself and one another. It is the season of colds and flus, which Caroline and I have succumbed to in recent weeks. So if you are poorly, please take care. We are always here if you want a shoulder to cry on. Now, our chat this morning is to discuss all things wonderful about quantity surveying. So our incredible speakers today are Gabriel Bucci from Align, and he'll be joined by Tom Hughes from the Resourcing Department. And we've got Francis Epham from ISG, joined by James Montgomery and Matthew Dean. So without further ado, we will hand over to our first speaker, Gabriel, and we'll switch our cameras off. Gabriel.
Currently work for Align as a senior quantity surveyor. Align is the main contractor working on a section of the HS2, delivering HS2. It's a combination of three international companies, Wix, Mark Alpine, and Volker Fitzpatrick. So today's presentation, I'm gonna, the aim is just to walk you through my transition from the military to where I am now, my current role. I'll be taking you through my transition process, the period that it took me to get to where I am, my current role and responsibilities, the highs and lows of my experience to date. So, joined the Army in 2008 in the Royal Logistics Corps as a port operator. Basically, as I'm gaining a lot of experience about 8 years in the military as a port operator, traveling around the world, basically seeing to the delivery of port operations in the military ports. I got involved with anything with planning, port operation, handling of military classified cargo and general cargo, handling of all cargoes within the military port, offloading and unloading on military vessels and traveling along the vessels to international ports to offload is as part of the port task group, which I was attached to when I was in the Army. Quite a challenging job, which I learned quite a lot of skill sets, which developed me further to where I currently find myself. Currently, take you through my transition straight from my military journey. I just want to keep my presentation short so that I give chance to other speakers to also talk. So after enjoying my military career, I started. I planned to have a family, a young family. My partner didn't really like myself traveling around the world so much, so I decided to leave the military and take a different path. Within that, I did a lot of research, attended a lot of events, networking events. Some was with Buildforce, which I believe Caroline has met me a couple of times with the networking events with Buildforce. I decided to take up university degree with my experience. So I went into degree in maritime and logistics at the Solent University. I enjoyed the course, went through all the requirements as I had my previous GCSE, so it was okay for me to apply through the university straight away. Before that, I sharpened up my numeracy and literacy skills whilst I was in the army and get into the learning mood. So fast forward, I went through my first degree and search for internship and jobs alongside as well. And I went through the first degree and I completed it. After that, I started working with some of the logistics firms, and in short, I didn't really enjoy working in the logistics industry, to be honest. So I further did my research, attending networking events as well with the Buildforce team, and also got in touch with mentors, which I was regularly talking to as to what I really want. So I just made a decision to get back to the construction industry, as I had previous experience working in the construction industry. Because before joining the army, I was working as an apprentice quantity surveyor with my my uncle who had a family business. So I enjoyed the role. So I decided to get back to the construction industry, and I thought of going back into quantity surveying. Within that time as well, I transferred to the Royal Engineers as a reservist, and I enjoy the reservist role of building bridges, and back into the military aspect as well as a part-time soldier, which I'm currently, I'm still currently a reservist with the Royal Engineers. So I enrolled with a master's course, a postgraduate master's course in quantity surveying and commercial management in Oxford Brookes. And alongside, I took up, I applied for a job through an agency, and luckily I had a chance to work for one family-run business. I started in the fit-out sector, and I started as assistant quantity surveyor, work up my way up, gain a lot of experience. Within that, I moved up to do a lot of roles with the M&E sector, and also got to the civils sector, building roads and building tunnels. And I got quite a lot of experience, quite a challenging career to be in. I've enjoyed it since. And since then, also, whenever I had a chance, I got myself involved with a networking event, going for Buildforce events, and seeing what is out there. So I'm gonna give you just a gist of a day-to-day activity of a quantity surveyor, what we normally do. So basically myself, I sit within 3 senior quantity surveyors, and myself, I take charge of basically commercial matters, basically anything to do with budgets and the money that we are supposed to use to deliver the project, and also administering contract and making sure my company is not contractually exposed to their suppliers. So basically, day to day, I do attend meetings, visit site, talk to the trades down there doing the job as to what event has happened, whatever risk that is going on that can affect the project, whether commercially or whether the program-wise. I make sure I do get involved with the trades and communicate to my management. I'm involved with procurement of subcontractors. So basically getting subcontractors to deliver the job and manage them to finish what is allocated to me as senior KWS working on the FRC, that's foundation reinforcement. So basically the HS2, we are building my section and we are building the bridge that will take up the HS2 train, and myself I'm in charge of some of the PS that built up the bridge. So it's quite an interesting project to get involved. Straight away, I'll take you through the transferable skills, which I did bring from the military. Myself, I find myself talking to trades, right from the trades, whether carpenters in my previous role as a KWS, whether laborers, concrete laborers, reinforcers. I get down there, communicate with them as to what is happening on the ground, and also take it up to my management team. So that relates to my time with the Army. I could find myself talking to private soldiers and making sure they do the job that is required of them, communicating to my warrant officers as to what is supposed to be delivered as part of whatever framework the MOD is expected to do. So communication is quite key when you are in a position of a KWS, and I think it's quite key in any other job role. Working with diverse people, I believe the Army gives the opportunity working with a whole lot of people from different backgrounds, and a project like HS2, you can find yourself working with so many nationalities, so many people, and and communicate, trying to find ways and means to deal with them and communicate effectively is quite key, and it's something that the military do build you up for. And also, I would say time management is very good, and it's quite key. Within the military, you get to know how time management is important when it gets to operational delivery. Same as what I'm currently doing now, making sure that we do deliver the job on time, because when we do go over the schedule, it had cost implications. So making sure I do communicate effectively among the trades and my management as to what is happening, and mitigating whatever event has happened is quite important. So being able to manage your time well and manage your workload is quite important. I'll also say IT skills is quite important. And in the military, we find ourselves using the Oracle JPA, going through expenses and inputting data. It does help, but I think it's something that probably, if you want to get into a role of quantity surveyor, it would be good that you do take your IT skills to the next step. You do build on it, because sometimes you could find yourself measuring projects. On the civil project that I'm doing now, I don't normally do the measurement, but it's the engineers that does it. But in other building quantity surveyor field, you could find yourself measuring project, getting quantities out of software, and it's quite important that you will learn your IT skills and up your game a little bit. Excel also is quite important. Do play with numbers all the time. So using Excel to organize data is very important. I know that sometimes you do within the Army, we had the chance to use Excel, but it depends on the trade that you find yourself within the Army. But sharpening your Excel skills is quite important. You don't have to be advanced in Excel, but at least when you have a bit of knowledge with Excel, you can build on it. And myself, what I've done is I normally use the YouTube, and it's quite a good tool for learning new skills within the Excel, and it's quite important. Also, you have to have a knowledge in the field. It's quite important. I've seen a lot of jobs come up as a looking for quantity surveyors, and the minimum that you could see is a HND that can get you in. Normally, now these days, companies do take apprenticeships that do help you go through your degree program, and it's quite important that you get the knowledge within the field so that you'll be competent in whatever assignment you are gets in front of you. So getting the knowledge or enrolling within the knowledge field of commercial management is quite important. So yeah, that will be my best advice to get through. I will just give you just a reflection of where I am now, I don't want to go too much on the time. What I find self-fulfilling in this role is going out there and seeing that the job is currently live. It's out there. People are using it. The end user is having the use of it, and it's actually having having an impact within the community. Previous jobs that I've built hostels for the Southampton University. I could see students coming into it, using it, and I could see that this will have an impact in someone else's life. It gives me that self-fulfillment, and it's quite rewarding. And also having gotten experience and building a project like HS2, you can see the impact that it does have on the UK economy, and also doing our best to cut down CO2 emission as part of our company strategy is quite self-fulfilling to be part of it. I would say the lows is when you as a ex-forces getting into the trade, the profession, don't expect to get to the same salary as you left the military. You probably have to start from a low wage, develop yourself up, because basically you are learning a new trade, and so it's not going to be comparable to what wage that you were within the military, but it's self-rewarding. It's quite rewarding. The sky is the limit. It's not like within the military that you have to go through your extra to get promotion. You take charge of your career, and it's quite self-rewarding to have such a profession. Resettlement tips I'll give to any ex-service men trying to get to the profession. I would say take your resettlement period seriously. You have to own it. Don't let the work commitment within that period get in your way. Own it. Get yourself on courses. Polish up your learning skill. Start getting into the learning mode. Your literacy and numeracy can help getting into the learning mode, because if you want to get into the profession, you have to get the knowledge, and sharpening up your brains is quite important, because you will be playing with numbers, and when you make a lot of errors, it does have an effect. So I would advise that get into researching, networking activities, build force, get your CV ready, and yeah, get yourself out there. That's the best advice I'll give. So that's it from me. I think any questions I can answer there.
Gabriel, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Can I ask your colleague Tom to join us?
Perfect. So introducing Align JV, we have been set up to operate for HS2 as our client. The DfT set up HS2 a number of years ago to build a new railway from London to Birmingham initially in phase 1 and then beyond. We at Align are made up of 3 civil engineering companies, OITP, Volker Fitzpatrick, and Sorrent McAlpine. And we as a joint venture also have designers who sit in-house with us. We've got the client, the designers, and obviously ourselves in one office based in Maple Cross, just on the outskirts of London, between Heathrow and Watford on the M25. Our section of the works is known as C1, Central 1. I find it quite funny to say it's the smallest section of HS2 because it is 22 kilometres long. The reason it's been let as a smaller package in terms of length compared to the others, and most other joint ventures all operate 2 packages each. We, out of our 22 kilometres, almost 20 of them are a viaduct or tunnel. So we've got a very complicated piece of engineering to complete. Where me and Gabriel sat today is an area known as the South Portal Main Compound. So that's the single largest construction site on the whole of HS2, including phase 2. And if I scroll down, I'll come back to this slide just to give everyone an idea of where we're based and where we're sitting currently. So just inside the M25, this is 80 football pitches inside. We've got site offices, car park facilities up in the top corner here. And then we've built 2 precast factories, so one for all of the viaduct segments we're going to need, and one for all the tunnel segments that we'll need. We've also got the world's largest slurry treatment plant on site. So all of the oil we take out of the tunnel, which is mostly chalk, we can press, take the water out, and then we're going to reuse it as a landscaping material. We've also, during COVID, obviously not stopped. So that's another important part of working on a government-funded project. We were able to work throughout. Obviously, lots of private projects, unfortunately, were put on hold, but we've been basically building this the entire time. We were able to assemble 2 tunnel boring machines on the surface, and they've both launched now, and they've completed over 2 kilometres of the 16 kilometres tunnels. And to the south of the site, currently, we're building a launching girder to build the viaduct. So that work is ramping up as well now. Just to go back to the route, so to the north of the section, we've got 16 kilometres of twin bore tunnels under the Chiltern, 5 ventilation shafts, which are the largest is 80 metres deep down to meet the tunnel for access. And to the south of the site, we have the 3.5 kilometre Colne Valley Viaduct in purple. So just to give you a little bit more detail about the viaduct as well, just under 3.5 kilometres, 308 piles and 58 piers will need to be in place before the deck is laid. And we'll need 1,000 individual segments cast on site for that deck, which you can see here. Goes across 4 different lakes as well as a canal and a river. So nice, easy bit of engineering, as I'm sure Gabriel will tell you a little bit more about towards the end. And for the tunnels themselves, 16 kilometres through chalk with flint bands as well, 9.1 metres in diameter. 7 segments make 1 ring, so we actually need 112,000 segments in total for those. So we've been producing segments on site for the tunnel for well over a year already, and the viaduct precast factory is just about to start casting the first segments now. We've been working on this project from a design sense since 2017. We've been on site for around about a year and a half now, and we've got 3 years left. So it's a long-term project, very important for the country, big bit of infrastructure and very complicated as well. So lots of different roles and lots of different packages all within one job effectively. You've almost got every sense of civil engineering. You've got temporary roads, you've got the earthworks, you've got tunnels, you've got the viaduct. So most elements of civil engineering will be completed on this one project. And that's a very sort of broad level overview. But towards the end, obviously, and the Q&A, I'll be here if anyone has any questions.
Tom, that was fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And could I pass to Francis from ISG?
I'm Francis, and today I'm going to be taking you through my career transition from the Army to where I am now. So today, my special conversation with you guys, I named it as Never Give Up, and it will become apparent why I named it Never Give Up. So before the Army, I was in Ghana, and I did my undergraduate studies in Ghana, which was information studies in the University of Ghana. Most of the subjects that I did under information studies had no relationship to what I'm doing now. So what I did information studies, I did archaeology, I did economics, and I did philosophy. In 2016, I moved to the UK to better myself, both personally and professionally. Again, my transition wasn't really good. I did a bit of agency work, although I came in to study. I did that until 2018 when I joined the Army. In the Army, I joined as a railway operator. So it was quite a fulfilling work or a trade. I did train shunting, I did P-way maintenance. I had a chance to drive some of the civilian trains on civilian lines, so it was really fulfilling. The train went disbanded in 2010, so I had to join the vehicle specialist. Again, it's one of the trade that I joined that gave me more of exposure in the military. Within the vehicle specialist, I went to Falklands on 2011. I again went to Opheric in 2014, Opheric 20. And I also did an ATP North Atlantic tour with RFA Lambay in 2016. I enjoyed those moments until I got injured in the army and I could not continue my career to the expectation that I really wanted it to. I'm not sure if any of you guys have been medically discharged, but that was my route of leaving the army. It was quite scary, and I wasn't too sure of what I was going to do. So it took a lot of reading, it took a lot of research to get me composed to, accomplish some of my objectives. Through my transition, I took my CTP very, very seriously. So I would probably advise everyone to do that as well. I had an incredible relationship with my CTP officer, and that got me into a work placement in London with BW Work Expert. I also enjoyed my career workshops. I basically went for each and every one, irrespective whether it was in the south or it was in the north. I would get myself up there. Again, I did a lot of research as to what I can fulfill. I had a good knowledge about going into QS, but then again, it wasn't too bright. So I had to do a lot of reading. I had to do a lot of research to get me into a stage that I could actually say I want to, take up that profession, leaving the army. So the next step I did was to get myself applying to universities and other institutions to get me the training that was required. Again, there's so many routes into QS, which I'll probably get on that at a later stage of this recording or this yeah. So I applied to UCEM, which is University College of Estate Management. When I did apply as a master's for quantity surveying, and on my response, I did not get in as to studying a master's. What they did offer me was a degree in quantity surveying. Their reasons was very plausible. It's because I basically have no background in construction, so it was very good for me to do a degree rather than a master's. But I thought I was ready for the challenge. I did not give up. I really wanted to do the masters. I wanted to accept and challenge myself to doing a master's rather than doing a degree. So again, I applied to the University of Portsmouth, and I did get in, and I was offered a space for doing my MSc quantity surveying. This was between 2018 and 2019. It was very rewarding. I met a lot of people, both national and international, and that broadened my knowledge and also my exposure to dealing with a lot of people. I have dealt with a lot of people in the army, but this was quite different, if you understand what I mean. So after my master's program, which was 2019, as you all are aware, there was a COVID drought. I could not get into any employment from 2019 until early stages of 2021. Within that COVID drought, I had 243 applications. I had 15 interviews, and I had 3 job offers. Out of these 3 job offers is one that I'm actually doing now as a assistant QS at ISG. With my current role at ISG, a little bit about ISG is a global construction specialist that deliver projects to people and to businesses. It is across the UK, so irrespective of where you are, if you want to join ISG, there will be somewhere that you could fit in. I will leave that to our resource team, who will probably talk to you a bit more about that. So what I am on is basically a GM scheme, which is a general maintenance scheme. And I am under the Tesco account. So mostly all the Tesco supermarkets and extras undergo a refresh within every 5 and 10 years. So basically, if you walk into a new Tesco's and you see everything shiny and nice, it probably would be me. There are other opportunities within ISG, which is Amazon, Sainsbury, Asda, Lowe's, Barclays. So the opportunities are really, really endless. You are not actually stuck to just one thing. It is basically ISG is a tier 1 contractor, and it is as good as it is. It's basically one of the best businesses that you could be in at the moment. I am currently on my first project, and I don't want to say too much about some of the things that Gabriel has said, but I would I'll walk you through a few. So on a daily basis, day-to-day basis, my job requires estimating tenders, talking to subcontractors, tracking changes, procurement, measurement, interim payment, final payment. I do almost all of it. When I joined ISG, my exposure now has been more of estimating. So an example is one of the jobs that I have is Tesco Pool. So when the client decides to do a refresh for Tesco Pool and it is being accepted, the job has been allocated to me. So the first thing that I do is we do a scope meeting where we meet the Tesco clients representatives to walk through what the job that is supposed to be done for that shop. So we go through all the perimeter inside out of the shop, and then we'll get a scope out. So the scope is basically the work that is supposed to be done. After that, that comes my job of estimating how much that job is supposed to cost. So I will do my measurement and I will send it out to Tesco for them to approve. During that phase, I would involve a lot of surveys that is to be done, because during the project you don't want any inconsistencies or any surprises to pop up. So you want to be prepared, reason why you do surveys during the time of your estimating. When the cost is approved, that is when I do my tender. So I would speak to a lot of subcontractors to get involved with the packages that is within my scope. I would then look at their tenders and submissions, and I would award whichever subcontractor I deem to be good on price and also good on quality. They would then start the job or to the package that I offered them, and then during that stage I would also be supervising their work and also be getting payments out to the subcontractors for the work that is done. That is my experience as far that I am with ISG, but I believe there's a lot of experiences that you can scoop out from other speakers on call today. I would speak a bit about transferable skills from the Army. So in the Army, we have a lot of skills that you could transfer from the military to the civilian world, especially if you want to be a QS. One of the skills that I believe we all do have is people skills, because in QS you do speak to a whole lot of people, and they will all have different skills. So you would have to deal with various people, and you would have to know how to communicate with them. Also, we do have a lot of communication skills in the Army, both written and verbal. So there's a lot of communication that you do with emails, sending out to clients, to contractors. So you would probably have to be good, which is something that we do in the Army. We have incredible team working skills. So again, it is really, really good if you do have it. Attention to details. So in the Army, everything that we do is very, very critical. So that is why we have that attention to detail, and that could also be transferred. We can be trusted to finish work. A lot of the work that we do as QS, sometimes you will be working alone and you have to get the job done. And that is what we do in the Army. We work with our peers and we get the job done. We have a lot of discipline as well. One of the points that I would get across, my last point, is point to note when you are leaving the Army and getting yourself prepared for your civilian adventure. You'd have to take your networking seriously, which Build Force is one of the go-to businesses in terms of networking. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't them. LinkedIn is also good in getting your professional self out there for people to see you and to look at how professional you are and what you can bring into their business. Some of the courses that I would probably advise for you to be on is take your CTP very seriously. But again, there is British Legion employability course, which you can reach out to them and then they can get you on it. They have a very great team that would walk through your CV, take every moment of your CV preparation quite seriously and try to attend to all CV workshops should you be invited to, because your CV can never be perfect. So there's always a way that you can make it perfect. Friends and family also are a good resource to fall back to when you are applying for work. They could be your immediate networking team, so try as much as possible to involve them. When you are leaving the army, I also think you should take your geographical area, especially like where you are going to move to, do a little bit of a research to see what jobs might be there, so you could know how easy it will be for you to get a job around that area. Also, one of the things I think Gabriel talked about is managing your expectations. I think more so it is not so much for the private and the junior NCOs, but for the senior NCOs, because probably the level that you would drop in terms of what you are expecting pay-wise will not be the same. So, you know, it's probably time that you would take a pen and paper to understand what your outgoings are and what your incoming will be. This would probably give you a good motivation when you go for your interviews and how to answer your questions about how much you are expecting to get paid. I think that should be all from me. Any questions, please feel free to ask and I'll be able to walk you through. So that will be me, Angela. Thank you.
Hi, Francis. Thank you very much for that. If I could extend a very warm welcome to your colleagues, Matthew and James.
Hi, can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Okay, great stuff. We'll do a couple of quick introductions and then I'll share my screen. Hopefully that works. I'll start sharing my screen in a moment. But we're just going to go through a bit about ISG, and Francis has done a great job of selling us there as well. So thanks very much. I'm very pleased that you chose to join us with all of the interviews and offers that you had. And then we'll go into a bit about the careers and opportunities here as well. So firstly, I'm Matt Dean. I'm one of the talent acquisition partners here. I've been here for 4.5 years and had a recruitment background before that. And one of the hats that I wear here is that I look after the UK construction division, amongst other things.
I'm James Montgomery. I'm a talent advisor. I look after retail and logistics and distribution, and I'm currently lead on a engineering project up in the northeast for a £2.6 billion battery factory. I'm also ex-military, almost forgot to mention it.
Yes.
I was in the infantry, I was in the Scots Guards, and I came out of that in the late 90s, and I've been in recruitment ever since.
Right, so I'm going to try and share my screen I've joined separately as well, so hopefully it's going to work. And I'm going to flip between a couple of screens, so just bear with us, but couple of slides to go through. So I'll go on to our website shortly. Sorry, this is taking a bit of a while. There we go. And you can see some of the information that's on our website, but this is really about who we are. So we are ISG, one of the strapline. As a global construction specialist, we make places where people and businesses thrive. And below that, you can see we've got the three main business streams, and I'll talk through those in a bit more detail. But essentially, it's construction, UK construction. We've got fit out, which is the fitting out of commercial spaces, as well as UK retail that James looks after. And then we've got engineering services. I'll come back to the all four by 24 in a moment, but I'll switch over to our website, and we're going to talk about UK construction first of all, and feel free to go and visit our websites in a moment as well and have a good look through all of this. But essentially, we work across quite a few different areas within UK construction. We've got hubs right across the UK. We're heavily into the public frameworks, so where we've got central and local governments there. We build a lot of primary and secondary schools at the moment. With that framework, we're fairly new onto a framework with the government to build hospitals. We are on the MOJ framework, so we've been doing projects like refurbishing prisons across the UK again. We're going to be building one of the 4 huge prisons on the National Prison Programme, so we're looking somewhere between 300 and 600 million pounds as a project, and that's going to go into ground, I think, in 2023, but that's a big one that's coming. And of course, hoping to work closely with the MOD as well on those frameworks. Education I've mentioned with the schools and the work that we're doing there, and actually some of the other public frameworks could be anything from libraries, police stations, leisure centres, that kind of thing. The real estate and development piece is quite big, and I guess a bit more London-centric and Greater London. So we've got a Construction London division that can pick up projects up to £100 million roughly, somewhere above and beyond that. But they can be cut and carve commercial spaces. They can be mixed-use schemes. We've recently we're about to complete a job for Sky TV as well, so it's a range. And then also we're just going into our major projects. We're developing the major projects division. So we're going to be looking at things like film studios, which I think is going to be a big part of the industry for years to come. With all of the streaming services that are out there, there's quite a bit of money there, which is really exciting. The prison, actually, that I mentioned, falls into that as well. And then it could be anything and everything. It's quite an exciting space. But some big projects. That's a bit of a new area for us within construction. I'll move on to our fit-out division. So as I scroll down here, again, you can see that central and local government is a bit of a theme that we work with. This division does a lot of that fit-out. So you might have construction that will take a project to build the shell and core and take it to what's known as like a Cat B fit-out. But this division takes it over and gets it to the point of turnkey, so a company can open the doors, walk in, they're ready to use their offices. So we've done that with Department Work and Pensions. Here you'll see we've got financial and professional services, so that could be law firms as well. We've got the real estate and development and the tech and media and telecoms. Now, we can't speak loads about some of the clients that we're doing projects with, but and actually Francis mentioned Amazon. We have fitted out their huge HQ not far from where we are here in Aldgate in London, which I've been fortunate enough to have a tour around, which is pretty incredible. But we also work with some real household names. We've fitted out some offices for some of the music and movie streaming services as well, which you'll certainly know, and a lot of other company names. So it's if you're going to be doing fit out, it's certainly the clients that you want to be working with, and some really exciting projects to be part of. I'll just, as part of UK fit out, we've got UK retail as well, but I'll just pass over to James to just speak around that.
So within the planning, again, fit out, but under the retail banner that Francis has obviously joined, we have the traditional, as you would imagine, shops, the likes of a client that Francis mentioned earlier, but one of the fastest growing areas is actually in the logistics and distribution side. And again, with Amazon, it's now become one of the biggest clients in that area. So we did over 300 million last year. We had a target of 450 this year. However, we're going to be doing over 500 million turnover quite easily this year. And we've added an ambitious target of 700 million next year. So it's tremendous growth. And this is an area with one of the highest profits in the organisation. So it's much higher than the traditional construction, although with the L&D side, it is more in line with the actual traditional build with heavy and groundworks. But I suppose the difference is the pace of project. where you can have traditional schemes or construction schemes with housing or other developments that may take, upwards of 5-6 years. We will build a distribution centre that's worth 150 million, and we will do that. Sometimes we have even programmes of 12 months, but traditionally it's about 18 months to 24 months. So it's very, very pacey. It's quite an exciting, I suppose, area to work in, certainly, and it's tremendous opportunity. We're seeing growth. This is UK-wide. We're also growing heavily in Ireland at the moment, which brings its own challenges. And we're growing across Europe as well. But it's certainly a high growth area. And France is right, I suppose, at the pinnacle of that, where he's involved with certain clients at the moment, but you'll also cross into other sections within the logistics and distribution side. So there's a great section to work in. You're not pushed down channels with ISG. There's opportunities to work on a broad section of types of projects. And a lot of it can be driven by you, by choice, by asking, by putting your hand up. We're not an organisation that controls people. We let people drive their own careers as such, and create their own opportunities, which is great for anyone applying to us.
Absolutely, and James so mentioned there about the turnover within retail, and actually when I talk about engineering services now, but certainly that's, if I could get to click on it, that's quite frustrating. Hold on a moment. But if you couple it all together, all those business units, we are up towards I think it's 3 billion as a business altogether, which is a huge number, and I think there's more growth to come. So within engineering services, we've got some exciting areas here, and this has traditionally been more, I think, in Europe, but we're doing so much more in the UK as well. But it's certainly an international part of the business. So we've got healthcare and the life sciences in there. So really they come together as science and health. I mean, it was an important, busy area for us anyway, even before COVID hit us. But now certainly it's really booming for the right or wrong reasons, But we'll build private healthcare facilities out of there. We'll work with public and private clients to build laboratories. Mainly that area works within, I think they call it the Golden Triangle. So you're looking at London, Oxford, and Cambridge, and kind of all the areas within that. And again, an interesting area to work in. We've got a satellite office now in Cambridge, and we know that there's a lot going on within life sciences over there as well. But a real key area for us to be involved in. High tech manufacturing we've got here, so that's quite a new division to us as well, and possibly people might have seen in the press, but we've got a very large project which James has really been part of with British Volt up in the northeast. So that is a project that's going to be building or making lithium batteries, so kind of like the ones you have in your smartphones, but they're going to be used for cars and vans and lorries and that kind of thing. So it's an important project for us, but I think really it's an important project for the UK and the globe, really. And again, a great client for us to be involved in. And there'll be more to come in that division. And then lastly, technology, media and telecoms, which it has there. Really, we're talking about data centres. And again, we work with some major tech companies, again, that will be household names, and some that are not, but still top of their game there. So we've built some really big schemes over in Europe, and we're building some big schemes here, and that area is continuing to grow. And just, I guess, to touch on why I've got it here, I won't play the video, but we were looking at whether we could get it working, but we couldn't. But if you was to go to YouTube, type in ISG, and in particular look for this video here, just as something to do with our culture. And actually towards the end, you've got Tam talking about his journey, and he is ex-forces himself, which is interesting. So I'd encourage you to do that. But while we're talking about culture, just to pull back to the All 4 by 24. So this is a company targets or objectives that we're working towards, and these really threaded right through all of our objectives that we all work to, everybody in the business. So it's to become the best, provide the best customer experience, which is really important. You get work coming back to us again. offering an unbeatable employment experience, recruiting and developing the best talent. And that's really key for this. And, you know, people like Francis that have joined us, you know, will come into the fold. It's about finding the best people in the market all together to come and join us, and then keep developing those people to be the best that they can be. Achieve operational efficiency. So it's trying to cut down on the waste of materials, of effort. You know, we're very focused on sustainability as well, and becoming carbon neutral. And then we've got driving revolutionary change in the construction industry and being that innovative leader within the market that we work in. So now I'll pass over to James and can go through our careers page and how to find it from the website. So it's looking at the opportunities there.
So under the career section, we're broken into several sections, including such like early careers. We'll give you about apprenticeships and graduate programs. One of the main parts is under a vacancy section. Within vacancy sections themselves, each area is broken down to individual skills or skill sets. And certainly for the purpose of today, the focus is around commercial vacancies. We've currently got 49 vacancies live, and these are going to be across the UK and across the individual divisions. As you can see, here's a cross-section, everything from mechanical and electrical quantity surveyors to some of the more entry-level. And in all honesty, often, certainly for the more earlier leavers who haven't had much work experience, the focus in the kind of more entry-level assistant quantity surveyor level, where our hiring managers are certainly more open to looking at people who have certainly education but minimal experience, because we can certainly testify to that, and I certainly can, within the retail and LED side, and the examples are Francis and the gentleman called Thomas Folioke, also who we've recently taken on, who's ex-RAF. Just that attitude, the attitude towards learning, the attitude towards work went much further, and that kind of shone through interview stages, and the response from hiring managers has been extremely positive. And with a little guidance from me to hiring managers, and they're very open to actually interviewing ex-forces and having testaments of I've already had excellent feedback on both, certainly Francis, just on work rate, how he actually operates, how he communicates with individuals. All I'm hearing is positive things. You know, the expectation of him is now really high, but it's certainly a testament, and it makes my job easier to then go back and bring other people into the business because of this. I suppose attracting the literal how well, you know, the last two people we brought into the business are doing. It's a testament to ex-military people. So I would certainly encourage yourself, anyone attending the call today, to look through these vacancies, to reach out to us, reach out to myself, reach out to Matt. We're happy to have those conversations with you. We can talk you through the roles individually, and certainly encourage you to apply, because we are, you know, open. The opportunities are there. We're growing as an organisation. We're never stopping. And yeah, it's a great time to join us.
That's it. So that's it from us. Hopefully, everybody can see our details on there, and please check us out on LinkedIn and get in touch. And of course, get in touch via Buildforce to come to us as well.
Okay, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Incredibly detailed. If I could ask our speakers to join us. So I have been particularly looking forward to this chat this morning. So as some of you may know, my trade is a QS. I am a commercial director and a fellow of that ICS. And when someone asks me what a QS does, I respond with, it's simply anything to do with numbers and contracts on our projects. So the QS discipline can fork into a few different roles. So at the start of the project, a team of cost consultants will draft the budgets. So this is your cost plan, and it's for the client at the start of the job. And then they will continually report back to the client during the build on what the costs are against that budget. Then the next phase is the main contractor will come armed with their commercial managers, and they will manage procurement of the project, execution of subcontracts, monthly valuations, change control, and agreeing final accounts, both upstream and downstream. Now, I found that holding those purse strings and reporting profitability back to the business does put you in a privileged position of power. So the reason everybody is in business is to make money. So you do have a seat at the table in establishing how successful that project is, or how your business performs each year. So for me, it really is a fascinating role. So if you do have any questions, please raise your hand or ask in the comments box, and I'll kick off with a few. So Gabriel, our first speaker, thank you for that. You did say that logistics wasn't for you. So can I ask you what your thought process was for you to consider becoming a QS?
Yes. The role that I found myself in when I finished my first degree in logistics, I was stuck in the office, and with my experience within the Army, what I'm used to is getting things done in the office, getting myself out there and making sure things are done outside, myself getting involved hands-on sometimes, and guiding people to make sure the things are actually delivered operationally. So I love the operation side of things. So I thought, yes, the construction industry will be something that in an industry that can actually I can relate that particular experience to. So myself being a contractor, QS, I find myself currently on site. Anytime I want to go to site, I can just straight away walk to site, see what is actually building there, see things physically on the ground, things that I'm planning in the office, and it's quite worthwhile compared to the experience I gained in the Army. That was what changed my perception of staying within the logistics industry, which I found myself just stuck in the office. So myself, I do know that being a quantity surveyor, you can find yourself being a client side, and you'll probably be much more within the office. But I enjoy being a contractor, quantity surveyor, getting myself out there, planning things there, and actually seeing it come to fruition.
Okay, and you studied a degree in, was it maritime business and strategic management? I think you said it was. And then you went on to do your master's in commercial management. Now, was the content of your master's completely new? Did it blow your mind, or did you know more than you thought you did?
I think the advantage is that before joining the Army, I had the experience working as an apprentice quantity surveyor with a family firm. So I had knowledge of how construction technology works. Even though that I did my master's, it was quite overwhelming with the number of information to take in alongside being a family and working at the same time. And as Francis mentioned earlier, the key thing is the time management, being able to manage your time there and plan things accordingly to fit in within your daily schedule. So yeah, I think it was quite overwhelming taking up the master's and also working alongside. I'm still a reservist. I was also part of the Royal Engineers, so attending to calls and things like that. It can be challenging, but it can be done. If I've done it, yeah,
it certainly can be done, because you're there, you're doing it very well. So,
yeah.
A quick question for Francis. Francis, you did say that kind of before Build Forces support, you went through a really challenging time finding employment. What advice would you give to those that are finding it difficult at the moment?
I would say never give up, because it's so easy to give up, because you would be sending applications to numbers of people, and you would not be hearing back from any. Even if you do hear back and you do go for an interview, again, it becomes a drought session. So don't ever give up. Take every step as a learning process. So if you get a chance to go for an interview, even if you don't get in, make your points and take it to your next interview. And when you come back, always update your CV. Always work on your CV. Always work on yourself. Work on your responses to interview questions. You know, challenge yourself every day when you are at home or when you are doing any part-time work. The minute, the chance that you do get, any opportunity that you do get, just work on yourself.
Francis, thank you very much for that. A question from Kevin Barrett. If you're able to put your mute off or your camera on, Kevin.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Okay? We can.
Okay. I have a question for, I think it was Gabriel, the person before Francis.
Yeah.
So I'm a little premature and compared to most people probably on this call, is I'm probably about 1.5 to 2 years out to resettlement. But what I've seen is that there are, a large amount of employers, a large amount of opportunities potentially being, what trade you go into. But I need to be, efficient with my transition and education to whichever direction I go. I think my problem is how many baskets or how many eggs I put in each basket. But you mentioned mentoring programs. Can you just explain or give any advice on the mentoring to make me better at being more efficient with my training towards my goal?
Gabriel, do you want to pick up on that, and then Caroline can join you?
Yes. Thank you so much for your question, Kelvin. I think mentoring is very good. When I started to make a decision to transition from the logistics industry to the construction industry, I did have attendance to one of the Build Force programs, and I visited the website and I searched mentors around who I can actually partner with. And I think I sent in some emails, and luckily I was allocated a mentor. The good thing about a mentor is it's like your lifetime buddy. If the person is in a particular industry that you want to be, it's like the person you are pretty much shadowing the person, showing you the steps to take. So myself, the mentor really helped me as to what decision to take. And in making that decision to further my education, to have that knowledge, to get to where I am, if he hadn't been the mentor guiding me, it would have been quite difficult for me, especially with the application process of the postgraduate studies. It was quite overwhelming, and the mentor really did help. And the good thing about the mentoring, the setting, is sometimes you can just go for a coffee, just have a chat. And sometimes it can have a very emotional effect on you. Because when you are living there, you are left with a limbo, and you can't actually think straight. So somebody who has actually been there can actually guide you, because it's been through the process, it's learned the mistakes, and it can actually guide you as to what to do. And I will share this with you. Previously, I did get in touch with Francis as well when he wanted to get into quantity surveying, and previously I was in the industry already, so I did advise him how best he would get himself together, and I think it did help him in making that decision. So it's very good to have a mentor to actually push you to your limits, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so thanks, Gabriel. I'm just going to pick up on that as well. So I was just about to furiously type in the chat box when Angela mentioned it. So Kevin, I just checked. So you're registered with Build Force, you've got your induction in January. So once you've had your induction, the mentoring is all part of our support. It's really important, and we hook you up with a mentor according to skill set and location. So you have got that go-to buddy, that go-to person that's in industry. Some of our mentors are ex-military and some aren't, but they all have a passion to help. And then they'll also further connect you within their network, get you on site for a work placement. And some of our mentors, they create friendships and they stay in touch even when you're in employment. So it is an important part of your journey, and you're not too early to engage. I say the earlier the better, but we will definitely support you in that.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So, and Francis, how did you find having a mentor?
So initially, it was quite overwhelming because it was something that I have never been introduced to before. So it was quite different. But my relationship with him was very, very excellent. I could send an email to him even on Saturday and he would reply. So I would say if you do get a mentor, use him. Do not feel shy to ask any silly questions because he basically becomes more of a friend than a mentor, and he would. My mentor was very, very he challenged me. So he would send me task to complete, which is like a QS task, and sometimes I could not get my head around it, and I'll call Gabriel and I says, Gabriel, I have this task. How do I accomplish it? So it's like using everybody around you to achieve the best of what you can become. So yeah, don't set yourself limits. You know, the sky or the moon is your limit.
Oh, I love that. I love that. A question for Tom. Are Align recruiting for undergraduate or day release commercial managers or quantity surveyors?
So at present, we have a senior QS role we're looking at, although given the makeup of the team, we just had a senior QS be promoted into the MQS role within that team. So we could be quite flexible on the level, maybe going down to QS. So if anyone was available and sort of looking at early next year, I don't know, the question I had, we could potentially start having discussions with them.
Right.
And I think for projects like ours, especially, it's always good to have those conversations anyway. So I was going to welcome anyone on the call who wants to have a chat with me and sort of be on the radar who's interested with Align. You never know how the teams change, or I'm sure, Angela, you're aware of how commercial teams like to restructure themselves quite often on projects like this. So there could be changes at any point. So it's always good to be on my radar.
Okay, perfect. And we will certainly do that, Tom. A question for James and Matthew. On the assistant commercial manager role that you brought up on your careers page, is it a prerequisite for those roles to have a QS qualification, or can our candidates join fresh from the army and learn on site?
More than likely, if the careers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it probably would be. I think anybody that's coming fresh out of the forces, it's probably one of our early careers programs as well, which we are advertising for right now. So so again, have a look at the website, or by all means reach out to us for a further conversation. But I think if you come into an assistant, they're probably looking for people that have come through a graduate program, something like that, and then are ready to kick on from there.
Or partway through studies. They don't have to have that. Don't be holding a degree in their hand.
Yeah.
But if they are partway through, we certainly support that, and I certainly will push certain, people forward into an interview, at least a conversation with hiring managers, so the expectations there.
Okay, and you referenced just there the early careers. So is this the undergraduate and day release programs that you offer? So is this where you sponsor the candidate through university a day a week and they work for you the other 4?
I think there's instances like that. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily fall within early careers, but I think that's more in case by case, and I believe we've done that in the past. The early careers is more the apprenticeships, the industrial placements, so a year out, and then the graduate programs as well. But yeah, as James says, if people are in part way through studies and things like that, then we can look at that, and we can certainly find a part of the business in ISG that we can speak to and see what opportunities we can open up.
And to give an example, I'm Angela. I have someone at final stage interview today, and he's currently day release 1 day a week, and I'm actually fairly confident I'm going to offer him a job by the end of today. So
okay, spreading the love, James and Matthew.
Absolutely.
Spreading all that love.
Let's give you a colleague for Francis very soon.
Okay, so just in terms of what both of you have just referenced there, the importance of doing these work placements, as Caroline and Gabrielle have said, it's about having a mentor. So if you are interested in pursuing a career in quantity surveying, it's about let's bring it to life now. Let's take that next step. Let's get you speaking to surveyors and finding out what the entry salary is and what the qualifications that were required, what that initial process is going to look like, better understand the role, get your hands dirty and get out on site and shadow some and really bring it to life just to make sure that this is the correct career for you. So I would like to thank Gabriel, Tom, Francis, James and Matthew for their incredible contribution today. The discipline is absolutely fascinating and the opportunities are there. So it's certainly a viable career option for many of you. So please get in touch if you have any questions on how we can help take this further. But between Align and an ISG today, two incredible employers up and down the country. So please get in touch if you would like to contact them further, and I'll pass back to Caroline.
Thanks, Angela. Yeah, I'd just like to echo those thanks, but also I have written it down and I am going to use it, Francis. You know what? Never give up. The sky and the moon is your limit. And you know what? I've got teenagers. I'm going to make them cringe and say that to them too, because that is just perfect. And thank you, Francis. It's hugely inspirational. And it's great to have you both here speaking for us. So again, huge thanks. Really looking forward to watching your careers grow. So I'm not going to hold you for long because we have overrun, but just to say to anyone else that's listening out there, our next and last career chat of the year, gosh, that's terrible to say, we will be in December, is on the 2nd of December, and it will be our design and quality virtual career chat. So that's the first time we've done that. So I'm really looking forward to it. That is with Alliance Partners Lend-Lease, and again, one of our very own veterans from Taylor Woodrow Vinci. So yeah, join us, same place, same time, and have a good week. Enjoy the weekend. Hope the sun is shining. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.